market failure in strata insurance has been a calamity for a lot of British Columbians. Well, in fact, all Canadians. This is happening everywhere. But I've really heard some very painful stories about people really stuck in a bind in Nanaimo. Market failure, this is private insurance. Things have shifted in the market. Nevertheless, this spring we brought in legislation to try to close some loopholes which had been opened up by the previous government in the early part of its tenure, which we think will help. But then if they don't, by the end of next year, we will investigate private insurance for strata if that's the only way to solve this problem.
Thank you. Many homeowners considering renovation projects also like to consider improving their home's energy efficiency. Do you support the BC Real Estate Board's recommendation for expanding and enhancing an incentive-based energy retrofit plan to address climate change and support economic recovery? Candidate Versaevel.
Yes, absolutely. The Green Party is committed to working with families and working with chambers of commerce across the province to make sure that everything that is possible can be done to renovate and bring houses into a passive, let me start again. Yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you. Candidate Malcolmson.
Through our Clean BC program, we are trying to work in from many ministries and with many partners to increase energy efficiency, to create incentives both for contractors to design this into their pitches to their clients, but also for homeowners to build energy efficiency in. And our requirement for provincially built buildings, affordable housing hospital, is all to go with a net zero or passive energy design. And the affordable housing on Estevan is a great example of that. Passive house, the same as the Nanaimo Aboriginal Center as well. The Real Estate Board's exact proposal, I can't remember the details, but I meet with them often and I'd love to make sure it fits with what we're funding.
Thank you. Candidate Jones.
Yes, the BC Liberals definitely are behind retrofitting homes and businesses. We want to improve the building codes so that we can maximize energy efficiency. We want to move off of the old burning fossil fuels into wind, solar in particular, and make homes as energy efficient as we can, offering incentives to landlords to upgrade rental units, offering the same thing to homeowners so that they can retrofit and renovate their homes to higher standards.
Thank you. Our next question is brought to us from the Canadian Home Builders Association on Vancouver Island, also a sponsor for this evening's forum. Contractors in new homes and renovations pay PST on almost all building materials. Providing a modest decrease in PST for a specific period would benefit BC's economic recovery by stimulating additional building activity and lead to more housing options for British Columbians. Do you support the reduction of PST on new construction and retrofit materials? Candidate Malcolmson.
The BC NDP has already provided an incentive in the form of PST reduction on some very targeted sectors of the economy that have been shown during the time of the pandemic to need an extra boost. One example is in manufacturing, that we've eliminated PST on certain kinds of purchases as a way to stimulate that very targeted sector of the economy. Construction has been booming on Vancouver Island in our community throughout BC. One of the extremely resilient sectors, and one also that I'm particularly glad Dr. Bonnie Henry said was safe to continue to operate even through the peak of the pandemic. That has been good for local economy. If that changes, then I would certainly advocate as the Home Builders Association suggests.
Thank you. Candidate Jones.
The BC Liberals, well, one of the main facets of this election is that we are going to eliminate the 7% PST for 1 year and then reduce it to 3% for the next year. They're also eliminating the small business tax by 2%. We're going to eliminate the layers of red tape that developers go through trying to get a house built. We have a loan guarantee program to offer emergency financing to businesses that are hardest hit by COVID to help them build. And that's it. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Candidate Versaevel.
We are indeed fortunate to live in a place where so many people want to come and live and build and create a life for themselves. My fear is that by eliminating the PST, even temporarily, that it will be difficult to reinstate it at some point down the road. I can understand that this sector is suffering in terms of employment. I also understand, however, that this will not increase the speed with which permits are issued or other variables will be addressed. And so I think it would be very short-sighted to eliminate the PST on these products at this time.
Thank you. There are thousands of new home projects delayed in the approvals project. I'll start all over again. There are thousands of new home projects delayed in the approvals process that are shovel-ready. A concentrated focus on advancing development approvals across the province would contribute to BC's budget and meet our growing housing needs. If elected, will you commit to adopting measures to fast-track development and housing? Candidate Jones.
Yes, we're definitely going to increase the supply of housing. We're going to modernize the BC building code, eliminate the layers and layers of red tape that is holding up construction or has held it up for inordinate months on end. We don't want any net loss of rentals or homes, and we're definitely going to increase the supply of housing.
Thank you. Candidate Versaevel.
The BC Green Party is committed to creating affordable homes and livable homes, homes that will last well into the future. We are also committed to working with the municipalities and other levels of government to ensure that existing homes can be retrofitted to accommodate elders and people who otherwise would have to go into long-term care facilities. We would like to work with cities to build, to create or fast-track the permit process so that buildings can be immediately available.
Thank you. Candidate Malcolmson.
In response to your question, I'm not aware of a mechanism where the provincial government could direct what decisions a local government makes. And I come from local government as an elected official. I would be reticent to have the province push away that democratic decision-making or that permit processing. But that said, if there are provincial barriers that can be removed, if we can clear the path to the work that, that cities and builders and the fantastic NGOs in our community that are building affordable housing in partnership with us, then I would absolutely be an advocate for that.
Thank you. Our next question is another Zoom video, another opportunity to switch gears a little bit. And this Zoom video is looking at questions around BC's economic recovery plan.
Judy Stefan here from Nanaimo magazine. My question is about tourism. Representatives of the tourism industry asked for $680 million in relief from the province, and they came back with about $100 million and no long-term strategy for recovery. My first question is for Sheila. Why couldn't there be a bigger relief package for the most heavily impacted business sector in BC, to whom we owe a great deal of our provincial GDP? And then for the Green and BC Liberal candidates, what would you do differently to help these thousands of BC businesses in the tourism industry?
Candidate Malcolmson.
Question, Judy. It is, for British Columbia, coastal BC especially, where we are so invested in tourism, this is a wicked problem. The size of the ask and the province's real desire to dispatch, redeploy talent and knowledge rather than to simply sit on capital is at the heart of this problem. But we do have a couple of great opportunities. One is hospitality workers being hired, at least for the next year or so, into the healthcare and long-term care sector, where we badly need more bodies. And also our ocean plastics recovery program in partnership with tourism, we funded through our COVID recovery plan. That was a real win-win.
Thank you. Candidate Jones.
Tourism is part of the economy. The BC Liberals platform, we're going to eliminate the 7% PST for the first year, 3% for the second year. In the tourism industries, we'll be eliminating the small business tax, and we're going to be eliminating all the layers of red tape that the tourism businesses experience. We have a loan guarantee program for emergency financing, as a lot of people in the tourism, a lot of owners in tourism have been really hard hit by COVID. We're going to double the number of campsites in BC provincial parks, tour operators that go there. We're going to improve park safety and streamline the reservation system.
Thank you. Candidate Versaevel.
The BC Green Party is committed to the tourism industry as it brings so much attention globally to this part of the world. We would like to reimagine some of the facilities that we currently have in place that are not being used, such as the cruise ship dock on our waterfront. We would like to initiate a marketing plan that attracts people from across the country who are still free to travel, and many people who would otherwise be spending this winter in the States, in Florida, Hawaii, Arizona, to come here and to use our beautiful facilities here and bring those dollars to our communities.
Thank you. The Nanaimo Chamber contributed to the BC Chamber of Commerce's contribution to the BC Recovery Plan. How will you influence the government to support Nanaimo's needs for recovery for small businesses, where we may anticipate as many as 25% of our businesses failing during the pandemic? Candidate Versaevel.
Cities like Nanaimo have been the hub of industry and tourism for many, many years. We need to encourage local businesses to reach out to communities, to local communities and to satellite communities to come in and continue to spend dollars here. We need to create a transit system within the city that is free so that people can come and spend their dollars in local businesses in our downtown core.
Thank you. Candidate Malcolmson.
Thank you. Small business is the backbone of our community. We have fantastic advice that comes from our chamber and VIA and other groups. The first piece is to make sure that we have open ears and that I continue to advance the solutions that are grown at home here. So far, the first priority has been beating the pandemic. That is the strongest way to get the economy back on its feet. In the meantime, $300 million in the Small Business Recovery Grant. We've had deep investments in digitizing and helping businesses move online, which, again, the Nanaimo organizations have been strong partners on. As long as we keep working together and adapting what we learn, that's what's going to get us through.
Thank you. Candidate Jones.
The Nanaimo small business community is the backbone of Nanaimo. There's a lot of mom and pops down there. I think they've all felt the impacts of the dramatic increase in crime that Nanaimo's been experiencing. The BC Liberals, through acquiring more police officers, more psychiatric nurse outreaches, will hopefully help mitigate that problem. We're also looking to establish regional hubs. Ideally, Nanaimo is uniquely situated. We've got a ferry that arrives here. We've got both the South Island and the North Island. So if we can get a whole complete plan going, I'm sure we can get Nanaimo back to where the businesses here are thriving. To say nothing of eliminating small business tax, reducing red tape, cutting the PST.
Thank you. We have another question via Zoom.
Hello, my name's Ken Hammer. I consider myself to be a community builder and love to work, play, and learn on the Nanaimo First Nations territory. My questions for the candidates, in particular Sheila's, is really quite simple. Why call an election at this point? And this, of course, came to me because I heard Premier John Horgan on the radio try to explain away the rationale for calling an election at this point, especially when we're in such a challenging time with pandemics and overdose epidemics and children going back to school and people without work. And it seems to me taking away time, money, and energy into an election period just doesn't make sense. So if you could please help me understand why we need to call an election at this point. Thank you very much.
Candidate Malcolmson.
Fair question, Ken, and Nanaimo has certainly had more than its fair share of elections, so I get it. This is how the Premier, this is how John Horgan explained this to me. 3.5 years ago, a completely different a platform that we are playing on. No one would have anticipated the pandemic. The work that is ahead for British Columbia, both fighting the pandemic and building back better on the other side, is unprecedented, and he wants to know that people of British Columbia want him to do that work. We did not win the last election. It was fantastic that the Greens and the former Lieutenant Governor gave us the honor of governing, but he wants the people to give him that direction to govern so that he can do the work for the people.
Thank you. Candidate Jones.
I have no input as to why anybody would call an election during a pandemic. The Liberals are scrambled. We've got our platform ready. We're able to look at all the issues and come up with sound, comprehensive planning to tackle each individual issue as it comes forward. We have a plan. We want to get people back working. We want to be safe during COVID, and we want to make BC the best province in all of Canada.
Thank you. Candidate Versaevel.
Well, we admit that we were somewhat taken aback by the affront that we felt as a party in dissolving our current legislature and calling an election. We want the people of British Columbia to be reassured that we are always ready, that the Greens are always ready to step up, and we are always ready to work collaboratively across party lines. We understand that a mandate is sought by this current government, and we understand as well that that is not the only solution. We had a wonderful agreement. We had a sustainable agreement, and we plan to continue to work collaboratively into the future.
Thank you. Our next question is with regard to racism. What will be your strategies for dealing with systemic and historic racism in our community and in the province of British Columbia? Candidate Jones.
Racism has no place in our society, in our cities, in Nanaimo. I think it needs to be recognized and stopped. Inclusion, cultures are wonderful. Everybody's the same. And being out in the world and knowing that, it's just, I'm kind of taken aback, like racism, it just has no place in British Columbia.
Thank you. Candidate Versaevel.
I absolutely concur with the Liberal candidate, and I feel that saying as much is a start. However, we know that racism does exist. We must call it out. We must step up and stand together. We have to acknowledge that the racism that has been experienced by Indigenous people here on Vancouver Island in particular, and locally every day, needs to be called out. We need to stand together and move forward.
Thank you. Candidate Malcolmson.
First, hands raised to the people that are raising this issue to the public debate. It's right in our faces now, and it's changing our province. 4 actions that John Horgan has taken already, and that I'm very proud of. Restoring the Human Rights Commissioner, an independent commissioner of the legislature, was canceled by the previous government. We've got a fantastic woman as the commissioner now. We're doing a health inquiry that Mary Ellen Turpel-Lafond is leading to get at the root of the stories of racism in our hospitals against Indigenous people. Signed right here at the conference center, the First Nations Justice Strategy that former Nanaimo Chief Doug White III signed along with our Attorney General and Solicitor General. Groundbreaking.
Thank you. I'm going to ask some more questions that are a little bit of a popcorn style, not particularly attached to any theme, but nonetheless some questions that were submitted to the Chamber upon the call. The cost of drugs is huge in British Columbia. As seniors, both having diabetes, our costs every year are rising. Last year, it was $12,000, as our benefit plan only covered $4,000. In Ontario, seniors over 65 are covered for drugs. What will you do to have seniors covered for drugs in British Columbia? Candidate Versaevel.
The BC Green Party is committed to making sure that we have a fair pharmacare program that applies to everyone in British Columbia, not just those who are in the most dire need. But we need to retool this system. We need to look at the cost of drugs as well as the cost of delivering those drugs to people. We need to work on a comprehensive solution into the long term.
Thank you. Candidate Malcolmson.
Thank you. Devastating to hear that some people in poverty might split pills or skip taking a drug for reasons of cost. That, of course, impacts their health and costs the system more broadly. So 3 things that we've done. Waiving the prescription drug deductible for 90,000 low-income families. That happened last year. That is saving money and I think saving health. The biosimilars move that we did provincially has reduced drug costs. And then, of course, eliminating the medical services premium. BC was the last place in the country to have it. That is the largest middle-class tax cut British Columbia has ever seen.
Thank you. Candidate Jones.
The BC Liberals will not reinstate the MSP premiums, which is a saving to seniors. The best place for seniors is to actually remain living in their own homes, and we are offering a $7,000 a year tax credit for them. Ideally, there's savings there that can go to help with the cost of any of their prescription drugs. We're committed to providing other programs for home renovations so that, again, they can stay there. If they are in long-term care facilities, if they want private rooms, they can have one. We're committed to helping them stay, again, in their own homes for as long as possible with significant financial supports.
Another question of interest to our seniors in the area: how will each candidate address the issue of seniors' driver's tests? The current practice of having a doctor assess their fitness to drive when they turn 80 costs nearly $200 each time they are ordered to take the test. Candidate Versaevel.
It's amazing to me that not only are seniors required to take this test when they are 80 years old, but of course that we license drivers at the age of 16 and then never again ask them to take a road test or take a driving test until they reach 80 years of age. I believe that one of the ways we can bring down insurance premiums and bring down this cost is to encourage people to take driving lessons and to take periodic driving tests throughout their driving life. And this would ultimately result in better drivers longer term.
Thank you. Candidate Malcolmson.
I have heard from a couple people about this being a barrier. It's something that we investigated through my constituency office and tried to get people the income supports and try to navigate the system. I'm really glad to see the BC Liberals elevate it as an election platform issue, and I think it does speak to a need that's out in the community. The actions that we've taken already for seniors' affordability are things that we want to build on. We've increased the SAFER grant, for example, so that low-income seniors have a lot more money in their pocket because they're getting a higher supplement on the affordable housing side. The changes that we've made also on drug deductibles, also putting more money in seniors' pockets. We've got more work to do, and this is one of the pieces.
Thank you. Candidate Jones.
The BC Liberals, as one of our platform issues, recognizes that it is very difficult for seniors, particularly those living on a fixed income, to cover the costs of a required medical exam, and our party will waive whatever fee. It was ballparked to $200, but we will waive that fee for seniors over 80. They no longer have to pay it to pass a physical so they can retain their license.
Thank you. BC Hydro's two-tier pricing is unfair for rural communities. We have no other choice but to use electric power, as smaller island communities are not provided with a natural gas option. What can you do to provide island communities a fair power option? Candidate Malcolmson.
Thank you. Now, this is a policy that came in under the previous government, one that is being revisited as it relates to electric vehicles, because although we've been encouraging as a province people to unplug from fossil fuels and go into the electric car market if they can, in fact, for many people, it's pushed them over the limit into that second tier and made their electricity much more expensive. So it's actively being reviewed, and I think it is a good time to revisit. We've got people on Vancouver Island especially that haven't been accommodated within the old BC Hydro rate structure, and this is a good time for review.
Thank you. Candidate Jones.
The BC Liberals, we really want clean electric power. We're going to promote electric cars. We're going to invest in electric charging stations. We're going to be looking at the costs that are involved, ideally offer rebates and incentives and grants on that so that we can get it moving to make electric cars and vehicles and transportation more possible. We're going to be looking at alternatives to transportation, pushing for a more public transportation powered by electric buses.
Thank you. Candidate Versaevel.
When I consider that one of the populations that is most vocal on this issue is our Protection Island community here in this riding, I am encouraged to know that so many of the residents on Protection have already taken steps to insulate and retrofit their homes so that their power consumption can be vastly reduced. This community has embraced solar and wind and alternate energies for many, many years. However, they are still facing increases in ICBC charges, which have forced many of them to stop using their golf carts, which consume electric energy, and purchase vehicles instead.
Thank you. Thank you. A rebuttal, Candidate Malcolmson.
I want to give huge credit to the people of Protection Island for advocating so hard on the ICBC golf cart insurance rate in the middle of a global pandemic and at a time that ICBC was completely being transformed by our legislation from a litigation-based model into a care model, and at the same time, for next year, reducing ICBC rates 20%. Still, Protection Island's case was so compelling that the golf cart insurance problem was wrong, that they convinced me, I convinced the Attorney General asked for the rate to be reviewed, and Protection Island won.
Thank you. Mountain biking is a growing sport. It has been instrumental in boosting the economy in small towns like Cumberland. This sport requires land for family-friendly trails and recreational campgrounds. What will you do to support trail building and more recreational camping in BC? Candidate Jones.
The BC Liberals are going to double the number of BC campsites and expand that in our provincial parks. We're going to be developing the parks. We will be increasing trails, campsites. We're going to improve even parking in the parks, so depending on how you can get there, and other amenities. We're looking to expand the high-use day parks, extra trails, extra playgrounds. We're going to create environmental work experience opportunities for young people in doing that, work in the parks to help improve them.
Thank you. Candidate Versaevel.
One of the things that the BC Greens are committed to is eliminating the PST on electric bicycles, which will make the sport more accessible to many more people. We have encouraged people to use the existing resources, and of course, staycations and overall wellness are something that we promote holistically. We encourage people to use the existing trails, but we are committed to building more recreational facilities as well.
Thank you. Candidate Malcolmson.
First of all, huge thanks to the mountain bike clubs that are donating their volunteer time, providing leadership and mentorship to younger people in our community, and really building kind of another sort of infrastructure. BC NDP's active transportation plan in partnership with local governments fits very well with this kind of construction. If the city of Nanaimo wants it, then that's something that we can help attract funding, and we've done some of that already. We've removed, in our election platform, removed PST from e-bikes, and we're also restoring the funding to BC Parks cut under the previous government.
Thank you. Outdoor fitness is considered healthy, so our increasing participation in outdoor activities are good for all of us, no more than right now in our pandemic. Would your party support elimination of PST taxes on e-bikes so seniors can continue to cycle along with their family members? Would your party support policies and even tax breaks in favor of further health and wellness activities? Candidate Versaevel.
Yes, as I stated in my previous response, eliminating the PST on electric and electric assist bicycles is a priority. We would also like to encourage more people to be outside, as you say, particularly in this time of pandemic, and to focus on a wellness model rather than on a response to sickness model. So we want to work collaboratively with local health authorities to encourage participation in outdoor activities.
Thank you. Candidate Malcolmson.
Removing PST from e-bikes is part of our election platform. If we are elected government on October 24, then that is a change that will happen. We have also legislated 100% electric vehicle new car sales. That's locked into legislation. That is leading Canada. That's going to make a big difference on the climate change side, especially given British Columbia's clean electricity. Putting everything on electricity in a coal-burning province, not good for the climate. But in British Columbia, we have a particularly strong partnership, and British Columbians have stepped up with our expanding infrastructure of charging stations and rebates. British Columbians are making a difference.
Thank you. Candidate Jones.
The BC Liberals will eliminate the 7% PST across the board on everything for 1 year. Then they will reduce it to 3% for the second year. Definitely we're promoting e-bikes, physical activity, and health. Andrew Wilkinson is a doctor. We want healthy activity and a focus on prevention.
Thank you. Candidate Malcolmson, a rebuttal.
I don't understand how the BC Liberals are going to eliminate PST. It was going to put a $3 billion hole in the provincial budget at a time that the pandemic has already taken $6 billion in revenue out of the economy. The last time that the Liberals were in power and removed revenue from the system by giving deep tax holidays to the wealthy and well-connected, services were slashed and burned. We can't have that again.
Thank you. We're coming close to the end of our forum, and in the remaining minutes, I'm going to turn it over to our candidates in the reverse order of which you introduced yourselves to the electorate, and I'm going to give you your 60 minutes to have a concluding statement. Candidate Jones. Or did I say 60 minutes? 60 seconds. I'm hosting the wrong show today.
No. Well, I've been very fast all evening. As your BC Liberal candidate, I promise I will give Nanaimo 100% of my attention. Your concerns are my concerns. I've been in government 25 years. I know how the systems work. Hopefully, we're going to have a cure for COVID pretty soon. I want all of us to have safe homes and neighborhoods. I want people on our streets to have a clear medical path to recovery. We need a tertiary hospital, cancer and cardiology clinics, along with a new patient tower. I want to see our streets and neighborhoods, the old city quarter of Nanaimo, downtown Nanaimo, thriving and safe for all of us living in our strong economy. The BC Liberals have a plan to return us to this. We will restore confidence and we will rebuild BC. I give you my word and promise, I will work and advocate for all of us here in Nanaimo. I need your vote.
Thank you. Candidate Malcolmson.
With great thanks to the Chamber and all the sponsoring organizations, I'm very grateful for this opportunity to talk to voters in a completely new way. Well done. Thank you. I love my community. I love the coast. I want to keep fighting for them. I have the experience to deliver more results for Nanaimo. And although this is not really a closing comment, I can't have the debate close without saying, both on public education and long-term care, we have had deep cuts in the past. We are working hard to repair them, but particularly the pandemic has revealed the deep disrespect to elders caused by cutting public services in the past. We are working hard to rebuild them. We extend my apology to the families and seniors who have been waiting too long for results. I'm determined to fight for them.
Thank you. Candidate Versaevel.
Thank you to the Chamber and to all of the sponsors and to you for hosting this evening. I would like to commit, not only on my own behalf, but on the platform and policies of the BC Green Party, to restore the hope and confidence that not only our youngest voters, but children who are marching for climate change, people who are participating in extinction rebellions, students who are concerned going back to school. I would like to commit that this is the party that will lead you into the future. We are under the new leadership of an amazing person in Sonia Furstenau. I hope that you had the opportunity to listen to her last night. Please, for your future, vote Green.
Thank you. I'll now turn the microphone back over to Kim Smythe, the CEO of the Greater Nanaimo Chamber of Commerce, for some concluding remarks. Thank you, candidates.
I'm not actually sure why I would accept the invitation to step up to a microphone after my opening truly gave way to the fact that I haven't been public speaking for the last 9 months. And stringing the whole sentence together was rather strange to me in front of a microphone. So thank you for your patience, and thank you to our moderator. I did miss something in my opening statement. I failed to introduce Dr. Carrie Chassels as our moderator tonight, quite appropriately. Carrie is Assistant Vice President, or was Assistant Vice President at Vancouver Island University, and sits on the Chamber's Board of Directors and has for a number of years now, making vital contributions. And Dr. Chassels and I have shared the microphone and the podium at these events several times before, and in the past we've made a great team. And now I'm finding my voice again, so I'm not going to stop, okay? But I want to thank all of you for coming, for bringing your teammates, for being open, for being so respectful, for being on time with your responses for the most part. And I know you've got a tough job to do out there. This is the strangest campaign I have been involved in my 20-odd years of working to support open and democratic governance. So I can't imagine what it's like for you out there not being able to do some of the people meeting things that you've done in the past. And I hope that we provided a fulsome evening of information for our viewers tonight. We got through 25 questions tonight. If this were live, we wouldn't have made it through 15 questions. So we put a lot of information out there, a lot that you can discuss with folks that you're connecting with in your networks and as you're trying to adopt them into your networks. So once again, end of the evening, I thank you very, very much, and best wishes on the campaign trail. Good night.
Thank you.